what is VLAN? It is called a virtual local area network, right? So VLAN is used to break or divide broadcast domain on switch. By default, switch has VLAN 1 configured, so there is a broadcast domain by default, right, on the switch. To break this or to divide this broadcast domain, we can create more VLANs to create different segments, you can say. Why we create more VLANs? To create different segments in the network. Let's say in a LAN you have some users in HR department, some users in sales department, some users in finance department, some users are in IT department, right? So you can use or you can group these users according to their same permissions, their same authorization, so that you can logically identify them as a group. So we can assign them into a single VLAN so that they will be the part of same network, and we can enforce same type of policies from the firewall also, okay, for these specific segments, for these specific departments, okay. So to break this broadcast domain, we use VLAN. We can create more VLAN. VLANs are used to define different segments in the network. Okay. Users assigned in different VLAN cannot communicate with each other. Okay, communicate with each other. So when you are going to create any other VLAN on the switch, it will divide your broadcast domain always. It will break your broadcast domain. By default, there is only one VLAN, VLAN 1. If you want to create 2 segments more, 3 segments more, okay, and you want to connect different types of users with the switch. So logically, you can group the users using the VLAN, okay. So to create the communication between different VLAN users, we have to use inter-VLAN routing. But by default, different VLAN users cannot communicate with each other. We have to configure VLAN, or we have a range of VLAN. First of all, what is the range? Can anyone tell me? Range of VLAN?
12409.
Yes. 4094, right? 124094. Now, in this range, we have 2 types of ranges. Normal VLAN range, okay, and extended VLAN range. Normal VLAN range is 1 to 1005 and 1006 to 4094. It is extended VLAN range. Now, when we use this normal and when we use extended, see, this normal VLAN will be used for VTP, server mode, and client mode switch. We don't use VTP in the network. It is not in your syllabus as well. Okay, it is removed. But VTP was used earlier. So when you configure VTP server mode and client mode of the switch, you have to use normal VLAN range, and it is used on VTP transparent mode switches. VTP transparent mode switch. So when you are configuring these VTP modes specifically, then you need to take care about this thing. Okay. Normally we use these normal VLANs. Okay. If you are using transparent mode, then extended VLANs can be configured. So these are 2 different ranges. Now, if I talk about the types of VLAN, first of all, we have local VLANs and end-to-end VLAN. Okay. Local VLANs will be configured on the switch locally or manually. Local VLANs will be configured on the switch manually. If you have multiple switches in the network, then you will configure all the VLANs manually on all the switches. Okay. And end-to-end VLANs will be configured using VTP. So which one is most used?
It depends upon the number of switches we have, how we can manage it.
Yes, if you have a very big switch infrastructure, then we don't recommend, or you can say Cisco don't recommend end-to-end VLAN. Okay, because it will increase your broadcast domain size. Your broadcast domain size will be very big if you are using end-to-end VLAN. Mostly we use local VLAN and it depends on the size always. Okay, if you have a small network, then you can use VTP just for your convenience, right? So all the VLANs will be propagated from one switch to another switch. So end-to-end VLAN will be configured using VTP. Using VTP, switches will, or you can say switch will propagate VLAN information from one switch to another switch. So here we will not configure VTP. Okay, we will use local VLANs. Okay. Now after configuring VLAN, see this is local VLAN and end-to-end VLAN types of VLAN. If I talk about types of VLAN according to domain, types of VLAN domain. Then we have voice VLAN and data VLAN. Okay, and voice VLAN. So voice VLAN will be used to connect all the VoIP devices like IP phone, and data VLANs will be used to connect your PCs, printers, okay, all the devices which can generate data, not voice traffic. Okay, so the devices which can generate voice traffic, they will be connected to voice VLAN, connected through voice VLAN, you can say. I will show you how to configure them on Switchport. Okay. Now to configure VLAN, you need to use global configuration mode always. Okay. Now, when you will configure the VLAN, you have to assign the VLAN on the switch ports. Let's say I have a topology, this type of topology, in which two switches are connected, okay, in a network. And with these switches, multiple PCs are connected. For example, these four PCs are connected. Here we have VLAN 1 by default, but I will create new VLANs like VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So in different VLAN, we will use different network addresses, right? So why two different VLAN users do not communicate with each other? Can anyone tell me why different VLAN users do not communicate with each other?
Because they are like completely different network. They are three devices to route the traffic.
Yes. See, when first of all they are in different network, right? And when different network users will try to communicate with each other, or different VLAN users will try to communicate with each other, then initially initiator computer will generate ARP request, right? And ARP request is a broadcast packet.
Broadcast
It
request.
cannot go out of its broadcast domain. So if you are generating ARP request for an IP address which is not in your broadcast domain, then how it will create communication, right? You will
Yes.
not be able to resolve that ARP request. That's why different VLAN users do not communicate via switch only. You have to use a router. Okay. We will see that. But for now, when I have these two different VLANs created, I want to assign these different interfaces into VLAN 10, VLAN 20. This one is VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Okay, so that we can connect different types of users. So you can say this VLAN 10 is for HR and VLAN 20 is for sales. Okay. Now this switch port will be receiving the traffic only for one VLAN, right? In which it will be assigned VLAN 10 or 20. But this link, what about this link? This link will carry the traffic for both of the VLAN, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So here we need to understand about switch port modes. Right, you have configured VLAN, now you need to assign VLANs to the switch ports so that they can receive and forward the traffic according to your VLANs. So for that, you need to understand switchport modes. So we have two modes of switchport. First one is called access mode, okay, and trunk mode. Okay. Access mode switchport can carry the traffic only for one VLAN, only for one VLAN in which it is assigned. Let's say this PC is assigned in VLAN 10. Okay. So it this switchport will be able to receive and forward the traffic only for VLAN 10. Okay. Trunk port or trunk mode switchport can carry the traffic for multiple VLANs, which are allowed on the trunk port. Whatever VLANs are allowed on the trunk port, it will be able to carry the traffic. Okay. Let's say you have created, by default, all the VLANs are allowed. Okay. Let's say you have created three VLANs. VLAN 30 is also created. Now you want to send the VLAN 10 and 20 traffic over the trunk link. So you can allow them. So only the allowed VLAN traffic will be permitted over the trunk port. Okay. If VLAN 30 traffic is not allowed on the trunk port, then it will not be sent via trunk port. Clear. So these are the two modes. When you are going to configure the switches, when you are going to configure VLAN and you have to assign the VLAN on the interfaces of the switch, then you have to define one of these modes according to the requirement. If you are assigning only one VLAN on the switch port, then you have to configure it in access mode. If you are going to send and receive multiple VLAN traffic using a single link, then you have to configure it as a trunk. Okay. See, if you are configuring it as an access mode port, then you have to configure multiple switch ports according to the VLAN. But if you have 10, 20, 30 VLANs created on the switch, okay, many VLANs are created. So how many links can you connect, right? You cannot connect that much of links. That's why we configure a single link. We configure this link as a trunk so that we can receive and forward multiple VLAN traffic which are allowed on the trunk port. Okay, so we will see how to configure these switches in access mode and trunk mode. Okay, let's go to the lab.